The mirror fell to the floor with a loud crack. Everyone froze. The room was silent, so silent that Elio Moretti could hear his own breath shaking inside his chest. He stood there in his black suit, hands stiff at his sides, staring at the broken mirror. The glass pieces were spread like sharp ice on the marble floor. And in those broken pieces, something impossible stared back at him. Not the face he knew. Not the face everyone feared. The reflection showed someone else. A scar he never had. Eyes that looked afraid. A smile that was not his. Elio took one slow step back. "No," he whispered. The men behind him, his guards, his loyal shadows, began to murmur. Big men. Strong men. Men who never asked questions. But now, they were whispering. One of them crossed himself. Another dropped his gun. Because they saw it too. The mirror was telling a different story. And it was about to shock everyone. Before we go deeper, comment below and tell me where you're watching from. And if you love powerful mafia stories like this, make sure you stay with me. The night everything changed. It had started as a normal night. Elio Moretti never feared nights. The city belonged to him after dark. From the tallest building to the smallest alley, his name traveled faster than the wind. People locked their doors when they heard it. Even the police spoke it quietly. Elio was not loud. He was not wild. He was calm. And that made him dangerous. He sat at the long table in his private room above the club called Red Serpent. The music below thumped like a giant heart. The smell of smoke and money filled the air. Across from him sat Vigo, his right-hand man. "The docks are secure," Vigo said. "No one crossed us." Elio nodded once. "Good." That was all he said. He never wasted words. A waiter came in with a silver tray and placed a glass of water beside Elio. No ice. Just water. Plain. Simple. Elio stood up. "I'll be back," he said. He walked toward the private bathroom at the back of the room. The guard stayed outside as always. The bathroom light flicked on. White walls. Quiet hum. And one large mirror above the sink. Elio leaned forward and placed his hands on the marble counter. He looked at himself. At least he thought he did. That's when the mirror moved. Not the glass. The reflection. The man in the mirror tilted his head before Elio did. Elio froze. His reflection smiled. Elio did not. The reflection's lips moved. And though no sound came out, Elio understood the words anyway. "You remember now." That was when Elio screamed. Let me tell you how he became Elio Moretti. Years before the mirror broke, Elio was just a boy with a different name. His name was Luca Farron. Luca lived in a small gray house near the train tracks. Every night, the train screamed past, shaking the walls. His mother used to say the trains were monsters running through the dark. Luca believed her. His father left when Luca was 6. No note. No goodbye. Just gone. Luca learned early that people disappear. At school, Luca was quiet. He watched more than he spoke. Other kids laughed. He studied. He learned where to stand so no one pushed him. He learned when to speak and when to stay silent. Silence kept him safe. One day after school, Luca saw a man being pushed into a car. The man yelled for help. No one helped. The car drove away. Luca didn't move. A tall man noticed him watching. "You didn't scream," the man said. Luca shook his head. The man smiled. That was the first time Luca met Ramos, the man who would change everything. The rise. Ramos taught Luca many things. How to listen without being seen. How to remember faces. How to know when someone was lying. "You don't need fists," Ramos said. "You need patience." Luca was patient. Very patient. By the time he was 18, Luca was no longer Luca. He was Elio Moretti. A new name. A clean past. A sharp future. People followed him because he never panicked. Never shouted. Never begged. When others rushed, Elio waited. When others feared, Elio planned. That was why the city slowly bent around him. Like a tree growing around a stone. The quiet cracks. But power leaves marks. Even on strong men. Elio began to have dreams. Dreams where he stood in front of mirrors that whispered. Dreams where his reflection blinked late. Dreams where his name was called, but not Elio. "Luca," the voice would say. Elio always woke up angry. He smashed one mirror already. He told himself it meant nothing. But the dreams came back. Stronger. Closer. Back to the broken mirror. Now the mirror lay shattered. The reflection still smiled from the broken glass. Vigo stepped forward. "Boss, who is that?" he asked. Elio opened his mouth. No words came out. Because deep inside his chest something was shack. Angelus. A memory. A face. A scream near train tracks. The reflection spoke again, soft, slow, cruel. You buried me. The lights flickered. The door slammed shut on its own. One guard shouted, "This isn't right." Elio bent down and picked up a piece of the mirror. In the glass he saw both faces. Elio Moretti. And Luca Ferrin. One of them was lying. And the room suddenly filled with a sound no one expected. Sirens. Police sirens. Coming closer. Fast. Elio looked up sharply. That was impossible. No one knew this place. The reflection's mouth moved one last time. They're coming for the wrong man. The sirens grew louder. The guards reached for their guns. Vigo whispered, "Boss, what do we do?" Elio stared at the mirror piece in his hand. And for the first time in his life, he did. No. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth and make sure you don't miss what happens next. The name that should be dead. The sirens screamed closer. Red and blue lights flashed through the windows like angry eyes. Elio Moretti straightened his back. Fear was knocking at his chest, but he did not open the door to it. Not yet. Everyone stay calm, Elio said. His voice was steady, but inside, his heart was racing. Vigo stepped closer. Boss, the police don't come here. Ever. I know, Elio replied. That made it worse. The low before the storm. Elio raised his hand. The guards stopped moving. For a moment, everything slowed down. The music from the club below faded into a dull thump. Dust floated in the air. The broken mirror pieces lay still like frozen water. Elio looked again at the shard in his hand. Luca Ferrin stared back. Younger. Softer. Afraid. Elio's fingers tightened. You're not real, Elio whispered. The reflection blinked. Then smiled wider. Footsteps at the door. A loud bang. Shook the door. Police. Open up. The guards cursed. Vigo whispered, we should leave. Now. Elio shook his head slowly. No exits, he said. Someone planned this. Another bang. The door cracked. Wood splintered. Elio closed his eyes for just 1 second. And the memories rushed in. The memory he buried. Luca was 12. He was hiding behind a train car, holding his breath. Men were shouting. One man fell to the ground. Blood spread on the dirt. Ramos stood over him. Watch, Ramos told Luca. If you look away, you'll be weak forever. Luca watched. The man on the ground looked at Luca, begging. That night, Luca stopped being a child. Back to the present. Boss. Vigo shouted. The door burst open. Police flooded the room. Guns raised. Lights blinding. Elio Moretti, a voice yelled. On the floor. Elio did not move. Because one officer stepped forward. And Elio knew that face. Gray hair. Hard eyes. Detective Harlan Crow. The man who had hunted Luca Ferrin for 20 years. Crow stared at Elio. Then at the broken mirror. Then back at Elio. His eyes widened. Impossible, Crow whispered. The shocking accusation. Crow raised his gun. You're not Elio Moretti, he said slowly. The room gasped. Vigo turned. What are you saying? Crow swallowed. You're Luca Ferrin. The name hit the room like thunder. Guard stepped back. Elio felt the floor tilt. No, Elio said. Crow stepped closer. We watched you die, Crow said. 20 years ago. Train tracks. Fire. No body. The mirror shard in Elio's hand burned like ice. The reflection mouthed words again. They finally said my name. Elio dropped the glass. Shattered. I point. Total chaos. Gunshots exploded. Someone screamed. The lights went out. Darkness swallowed the room. Elio felt hands grab him. He didn't know whose. Police? Guards? Ghosts? The only thing he heard clearly was Detective Crow shouting. Don't let him escape. He's not who he pretends to be. Elio was pushed through a hidden door. The door slammed shut behind him. Silence. Darkness. And then, a small red light turned on. A mirror hung on the wall. Perfect. Clean. Waiting. Elio stepped closer. The reflection smiled first. And spoke out loud this time. Hello, Luca. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because what the mirror reveals next will change everything. Elio, Luca, stood frozen in front of the new mirror. The red light bathed the room in a glow that made the reflection look alive. Not just alive, hungry. The reflection raised its hand. Slowly. Deliberately. Luca felt compelled to mirror it. His fingers touched the glass. And for a moment it wasn't glass anymore. was a window. A window into a life he had tried to bury. The voice that only he could hear. 20 years, the reflection whispered. 20 years hiding. Did you think they forgot? Luca staggered back. What are you? He asked. I am your truth, the mirror said. I am what you ran from. What you killed inside to survive. I am Luca Farron. And you are just a mask. Luca's hands shook. His knees almost gave way. For the first time he realized he had been living a lie so long he almost believed it. Elio Moretti, the feared Mafia boss, was a shadow. The real man, Luca, had been buried beneath titles, suits, money, and fear. The flashback that broke him. Luca's mind went back to that night at the train tracks. The fire. The screams. The smell of burning wood and smoke. He had thought he saw death then. But death had not taken him. Instead, it had forced him to become someone else. Someone stronger. Someone smarter. Someone terrifying. But the mirror reminded him of what he had lost. Innocence, trust, even the chance to live a normal life. And now, that life was staring him in the face. A new enemy emerges. A sudden noise snapped him back. The hidden room's door creaked open. Detective Harlan Crow stepped in again. You shouldn't have come here alone, Crow said. His voice was cold. Luca knew he wasn't safe. But the mirror had him rooted. I didn't come here alone, Luca said. His voice was steadier than he felt. Crow's eyes narrowed. Don't lie to me. The city wants Elio Moretti gone. But you're more dangerous than anyone imagined. And in that moment Luca realized, he was in a war he had never agreed to fight. The psychological trap. The mirror started to shift. Not the reflection, but the images behind it. Scenes from his past flashed. A young boy hiding from death. Ramos teaching him patience with cruelty. Faces of people he thought he had killed, but hadn't. Faces of people he had betrayed without knowing it. The reflection spoke again. You cannot run from me. You cannot run from yourself. Luca stumbled backward. Stop, he yelled. But the mirror only laughed. A sound cold and sharp like broken glass. The first shocking twist. Suddenly the mirror shattered again, this time without warning. Luca fell to the ground. But the shards, they didn't lie. On the floor, reflected in the broken glass, were two faces staring at him. Elio Moretti, calm, ruthless, untouchable. Luca Farron, scared, betrayed, haunted. And then a third face appeared. A face he didn't recognize but felt terrifyingly familiar. The mirror's whisper reached him again. You are not the last story here. Others are waiting. And they know your name. A sudden crash came from the door. Crow shouted something muffled. Luca scrambled to grab a shard of the mirror. And then, a hand reached through the broken glass. Cold, strong, unseen by anyone else. It grabbed Luca's wrist. And the voice hissed. It's time to remember. Luca's eyes widened. His heart froze. The mirror had another secret. One that would shock everyone if it was ever revealed. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because you won't believe who is really pulling the strings. The hand didn't let go. Luca yanked backward, but the grip was inhumanly strong. It was cold, colder than ice, but somehow burning at the same time. Who are you? Luca shouted, fear ripping through him. The reflection in the shards twisted. It was no longer just a mirror image. The third face, the one he didn't recognize before, was now alive, smiling in a way that made Luca's blood run cold. You think you are alone? The voice whispered. Luca's legs gave out. He slid across the floor, shards cutting his palms. The sound of cracking glass echoed like screams. Crow shouted something behind him, but Luca couldn't focus. His mind was trapped in the mirror's message. The shadow from the past. The voice spoke again, slow and deliberate. You buried me once. I'm not dead. I am what you refused to see. And now, it's my turn to judge. Luca's stomach churned. The face in the shards, it wasn't just someone from his past. It was him, yes, but younger, angrier, filled with memories Luca had tried to erase. And then it whispered a name. Mara Farron. The name struck him like a knife. His chest tightened. His memories surged, painful and fast. Mara, his sister. He had thought she died in the fire. He had thought she was gone. But the mirror was telling him she wasn't. And now, someone else had her. The hidden room. Luca scrambled to his feet. Crow's voice echoed. Don't listen to it. It's a trap. But it was too late. The mirror had already shown him something he could not unsee. There was a hidden room beneath the bathroom floor. A faint outline glimmered in the red light. Find me, the mirror whispered. Luca's hands trembled. He pressed his ear to the floor. He could hear faint breathing, someone alive. The hand reached again. This time it didn't grab his wrist, it pointed. Do you remember? Luca shook his head. I don't understand. You will, it hissed. If you want to save her, you must face the truth. All of it. A shocking truth revealed. Crow ran forward. Boss, step away from that mirror. But Luca couldn't. He was frozen. He remembered everything, the train tracks, the fire, Ramos, the name he took for safety. Elio Moretti. He remembered the lies. The deals he made. The people he killed. The life he built from the ashes of his own childhood. And now the mirror was showing him what he had tried to erase. A third reflection appeared in the glass. Not a child, not himself. A shadowy figure wearing a hood, watching, waiting. It was someone who had followed him all these years. Someone who knew everything. Hello, Luca, the hooded figure whispered from the glass. It's time to finish what you started. Chaos erupts. The red light flickered violently. Crow fired his gun at the mirror, but the bullets passed through the glass as if it were smoke. The shards floated in the air, circling Luca like a storm of knives. The hidden door to the basement creaked open by itself. From below, a voice called out. Brother, why did you leave me? Luca froze. It was not Mara. It was another voice. Older. Vengeful. A voice he remembered, a voice he had forgotten but never escaped. The mirror whispered one final warning. You cannot hide anymore. They are all coming. The lights went out. The shards fell to the floor with deafening crashes. Luca's breath came fast. His hands were covered in cuts. He turned toward the hidden door, toward the voice, but someone grabbed him from behind. Strong. Cold. Familiar. A whisper in his ear. It's time to pay for the past. Elio. Luca gasped. His mind screamed, they know my real name. And then, silence. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because the truth about who is really controlling the city will shock everyone. Luca woke up gasping. His head hurt. His arms were tied to a cold metal chair. The room was dark except for one weak yellow bulb swinging above him. Tick, tick, tick. Each swing made the shadows move. Elio Moretti, a voice said from the darkness. Luca lifted his head. No, he said slowly. That name is dead. The voice laughed. A low, calm laugh. You can change your name, the voice said, but you can't change what you did. A man stepped into the light. Tall. Thin. Wearing a gray coat. His face made Luca's heart stop. Ramos, Luca whispered. The man smiled. I was wondering when you'd remember me. The man who made him. Ramos walked in a slow circle around Luca. You grew up well, Ramos said. Strong. Fear. Rich. Luca clenched his fists. You taught me to survive. I taught you to rule, Ramos corrected. Ramos stopped in front of him. But you forgot one thing. What? Luca asked. Ramos leaned close. You were never the boss. The low moment, truth hurts. Luca felt sick. All those years, Ramos continued, every deal, every fight, every move you made. I watched. Luca shook his head. You're lying. Ramos snapped his fingers. The wall lit up. Screens turned on. Footage played. Elio, Luca, talking to men. Making plans. Giving orders. And behind every scene, a shadow. Ramos. You thought the city bowed to you, Ramos said. But it bowed to me. I needed a face. A legend. He smiled. And you were perfect. A painful memory. Luca's mind raced. Mara, Luca said suddenly. You said my sister was alive. Ramos' smile faded. She is, he said. Because I kept her. Luca screamed. Where is she? Ramos' eyes turned cold. She's the reason you obey. The high rage awakens. Luca pulled against the ropes. You used me, he shouted. Yes, Ramos said calmly. And you liked it. Power felt good, didn't it? Luca stopped struggling. Slowly he smiled. That's where you're wrong, Luca said. Ramos raised an eyebrow. I learned from you, Luca continued. And I learned how men like you fall. Ramos laughed again. Big words for a man in chains. He turned away. That mirror you fear? Ramos said. It wasn't magic. It was memory. I wanted you to break. He walked toward the door. And now that you remember everything, I don't need you anymore. The twist. Ramos reached the door. It didn't open. He frowned and tried again. Click. Lock. The light flickered. A familiar voice echoed through the room. Hello, Ramos. Ramos turned pale. The mirror slid out from the wall. clean, bright. And in it stood Luca Farron. Come, awake, smiling. Ramos stepped back. Impossible. Luca's voice was steady. You taught me patience, he said. You taught me planning. The reflection raised its hand. So I planned this. The ropes around Luca's arms fell loose. Ramos turned to run. The mirror cracked loudly. And the reflection whispered, your turn. The room shook. The mirror burst with light. Ramos screamed. Luca stepped forward, heart pounding. But before he could see what happened next, the door slammed open. Men rushed in with guns. One shouted, Boss, we found the girl. Luca froze. Where? He yelled. The man hesitated. She's asking for you, he said. And she says her name is Mara. Luca's blood ran cold. Because the mirror behind him whispered one final line. Save her, or lose yourself forever. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Luca ran. He didn't think. He didn't plan. He just ran. The hallway felt longer than ever. His shoes slapped hard against the floor. Lights flickered above him, turning on and off like blinking eyes. Where is she? Luca shouted. This way, a guard yelled. They turned a corner and stopped in front of a small metal door. The guard opened it. And Luca's heart broke. Seeing her again. She was sitting on the floor. Small. Thin. Wrapped in a gray blanket. Her hair was longer, messy. Her face was pale. There were bruises on her arms. But her eyes were the same. Mara, Luca whispered. She looked up slowly. And then she smiled. Luca, she said. Not Elio. Luca. His knees hit the floor. I thought you were dead, he said, his voice shaking. They told me you were, Mara replied softly. For a long time. He reached for her, then stopped. I'm sorry, Luca said. I left you. Mara shook her head. You didn't leave, she said. You were taken. Luca looked up fast. Taken? He asked. The truth that hurt. Mara hugged her knees. Ramos kept me, she said. He said you belong to him now. He said you were becoming something powerful. Luca clenched his fists. He used you to control me, Luca said. Yes, Mara answered. But that's not all. She looked around the room, scared. He told me something, she whispered. What? Luca asked. He said, you weren't the first. Luca froze. The first what? The first Elio, Mara said. A new fear. Luca stood up slowly. What does that mean? He asked. Mara swallowed. He said before you there was another man. Another boss. Another face. Luca's chest tightened. And when that man started asking questions, Mara continued, Ramos erased him. Luca backed away. No, he whispered. Mara nodded. He said the city doesn't need one boss, she said. It needs a mask. Suddenly alarms blared. Red lights flashed. One guard shouted, Boss, we've got movement everywhere. Another yelled, Ramos' men are taking over the lower floors. Luca grabbed Mara's hand. We're leaving, he said. The twist, the mirror returns. They rushed into the hallway. Smoke filled the air. Gunshots echoed below. They reached a large room. And Luca stopped cold. The mirror was there again. Standing upright. Perfect. Clean. As if it had never broken. Mara gasped. That thing? She whispered. I've seen it before. Luca turned to her. What do you mean? In my room, she said. Ramos talked to it. Like it was alive. The reflection moved. It wasn't Luca. It wasn't Elio. It was someone else. A man with sharp eyes and a cruel smile. The reflection spoke. You're too late, it said. Mara screamed. Who are you? Luca shouted. The reflection tilted its head. I am the next face. The floor shook. The mirror began to glow. Mara's hand slipped from Luca's grip. The reflection reached out from the glass. And grabbed her. Mara! Luca screamed. She was pulled toward the mirror. The last thing she shouted was, Luca, don't let it turn you into him. The mirror swallowed her. Then everything went silent. Luca stood alone, breathing hard, staring at his own reflection, and it smiled. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because you discover what pushed Luca to the edge, where he must decide who he really is, before the mirror decides for him. Luca stood still. The room felt empty now. Too empty. The mirror stood in front of him, quiet and bright, like nothing bad had happened. Like it hadn't just taken his sister. Mara, Luca whispered. No answer. His chest felt tight like something heavy was sitting on his heart. His hands shook. His eyes burned. Then the mirror spoke again. Come. Smooth. Cold. She is safe, for now. Luca looked up fast. Give her back, he said. The reflection smiled. That depends, it replied. The low, breaking point. Luca fell to his knees. I did everything, he said. I became what you wanted. I survived. The mirror leaned closer as if it could hear his thoughts. Yes, it said. You became strong. Powerful. Luca clenched his teeth. But at what cost? The mirror asked. Images filled the glass. People Luca had hurt. People who trusted him. People who feared him. Elio Moretti's world. Built on lies. Built on pain. You can't undo it, the mirror said softly. But you can finish it. The offer. The mirror changed again. Now it showed the city at night. Lights glowing. Streets moving. People living under fear without knowing why. I can give you everything, the reflection said. Total control. No Ramos. No police. No threats. Luca stood up slowly. And my sister? He asked. The mirror paused. She lives, it said. If you accept. Luca's heart pounded. And if I don't? He asked. The mirror's smile faded. Then she disappears, it said. The inner war. Luca turned away from the mirror. His mind raced. If he said yes, he would become worse than Ramos. If he said no, he would lose Mara forever. His hands curled into fists. I was a kid, he whispered. I didn't choose this. The mirror answered quickly. But now you can. The lights flickered. Gunfire echoed far away. Time was running out. The twist, a hidden truth. Suddenly, a soft voice came from inside the mirror. Luca. He froze. Mara, he whispered. Her face appeared in the glass. She looked tired. Scared. But alive. Don't listen to it, she said. It's lying. The mirror snapped. Enough. Mara shouted. It needs you. It can't exist without you. Luca's eyes widened. The mirror shook. Cracks spread across the glass. For the first time, the mirror looked Afra. ID. Luca stepped forward. So that's it, he said slowly. You don't choose the boss. The mirror screamed. I do. The room shook violently. The floor split open. The mirror pulled back, glowing brighter than ever. Mara's image faded. Luca reached out, shouting her name, and the mirror shouted one final command. Choose. Now. The glass exploded into blinding white light, and Luca jumped forward, not knowing what he was jumping in. Subscribe to this channel to support our grow. WT. The white light swallowed Luca. It was not hot. It was not cold. It felt like falling into a memory. Luca's body hit the ground hard. He gasped and rolled onto his side, coughing. The light faded slowly like fog lifting in the morning. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer in the club. He was standing on train tracks. Rusty. Silent. The air smelled like smoke. No, Luca whispered. This place. He knew this place. The low, back where it all began. The ground shook. A train horn screamed in the distance. Luca's heart started racing. This isn't real, he said. This is just another trick. A voice answered from behind him. Is it? Luca turned. A boy stood there. Small. Thin. Dirty clothes. Wide eyes full of fear. The boy was shaking. The boy was him. Young Luca Farron. You left me here, the boy said softly. Luca's throat tightened. I didn't have a choice, Luca said. The boy looked at him. Yes, you did. The mirror without glass. Luca looked around. There was no mirror. But everything reflected anyway. The metal of the tracks. The dark train windows. Even the boy's eyes. You became strong, the boy said. But you forgot me. I protected you, Luca replied. The boy shook his head. You buried me. The train horn grew louder. Closer. The truth tightens. Suddenly, another figure appeared on the tracks. Tall. Calm. Smiling. Ramos. Beautiful place for a lesson, Ramos said. Luca stepped back. You're not real, Luca said. Ramos laughed. I'm as real as the choices you made. Ramos looked at the boy. This is where you became useful, Ramos said. This is where you stopped crying and started surviving. The boy hugged himself. I was scared, he said. Luca's fists clenched. You did this to us, Luca growled. Ramos smiled wider. I showed you who you could be. The twist, a third voice. A new sound filled the air. Not the train. Not Ramos. A soft, steady voice. Luca. Luca spun around. Mara, he shouted. She stood near the tracks, unharmed. Older. Stronger. Real. Don't listen to any of them, she said. Not even the mirror. The ground trembled. The train was almost there now. Ramos stepped back. This is the moment, he said. Choose who you are. The boy looked at Luca. Mara reached out her hand. The train roared closer. And suddenly the world paused. The horn stopped. The smoke froze. Everything went silent. Except for one final voice that came from everywhere at once. If you save the boy, the boss dies. Luca's eyes widened. What? He whispered. If you save the boss, the boy is lost forever. Luca looked at the child. Then at Mara. Then at the frozen train. His hands trembled. His choice was coming. But he wasn't ready. Not yet. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because the next part will push Luca closer to a decision that could destroy the Mafia, and himself. Say, continue when you're ready and we'll go deeper into Luca's choice. See. The train moved. At first it was slow like it didn't want to wake up. Then the ground shook. Metal screamed. The frozen world began to crack like broken ice. Luca, stop, the voice roared. But Luca didn't stop. He pushed harder. His hands burned. His arms shook. His teeth clenched so tight his jaw hurt. I'm tired of running, Luca shouted. I'm tired of being your mask. Time breaks. The train suddenly lurched forward. The horn blasted so loud it felt like it ripped the sky open. The young boy screamed. Luca! Mara cried. The train rushed past them in a blur of steel and smoke. And then, everything exploded into darkness. The low silence after the storm. Luca fell. Not onto tracks. Not into light. But into water. Cold, deep water. He sank fast. His chest burned. His arms felt heavy. This is it, Luca thought. This is how it ends. But then, hands grabbed him. Strong hands. They pulled him up. Luca burst out of the water, gasping. He was lying on wet concrete. Rain poured from the sky. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Real sirens. Not the mirror. Not the past. Real. A world that feels wrong. Luca pushed himself up. The city skyline stood in front of him. But something was wrong. The tallest building, the one everyone called Moretti Tower, was gone. In its place stood a different building. Smaller. With a different name glowing at the top. Ramos Group. Luca's heart dropped. No, 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 he whispered. Mara sat up beside him. She was soaked, shivering, alive. You did this, she said softly. Luca turned to her. Are you okay? He asked. She nodded slowly. But Luca, she said, fear in her eyes, you didn't destroy the mirror. Luca swallowed. What do you mean? Mara pointed. The twist, the mirror followed him. Across the street, in the dark glass of a shop window, the reflection smiled. Not Luca's smile. Not Elio's. Someone else's. The reflection raised a hand and waved. Luca stepped back. That's impossible, he whispered. The reflection's mouth moved. You broke the moment, not the loop. Suddenly cars screeched to a stop. People shouted. A large screen on the building across the street flickered to life. A news anchor appeared. We are receiving breaking news, she said nervously. Tonight marks the 20th anniversary of the mysterious disappearance of crime leader Elio Moretti. Luca froze. What? He whispered. The anchor continued. And the rise of businessman Ramos Calder, now the most powerful man in the city. Mara grabbed Luca's arm. In this world, she whispered, you were never the boss. The reflection laughed silently. Different story, it mouthed. Same ending. Suddenly headlights flashed behind them. A black car skidded to a stop. Doors flew open. Men in suits stepped out. Guns raised. One of them shouted, there he is. Luca turned. They recognize you? Mara asked. Luca shook his head slowly. No, he said. They recognized the boy who was supposed to stay dead. The men moved closer. The reflection in the window leaned in and whispered one last line. Run, Luca. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because you will see why Luca is more dangerous in this world than he ever was before. Run! Mara shouted. Luca grabbed her hand and they ran. Bullets hit the ground behind them. Sparks jumped from the road. People screamed and scattered. Rain mixed with fear as the city woke up to chaos. They turned into a narrow alley. Luca pushed Mara behind a dumpster. "Stay quiet," he whispered. Footsteps rushed past. Men shouted orders. "Check every corner." Luca held his breath. His heart beat so loud he was sure they could hear it. After a long moment, the footsteps faded. The low, a stranger in his own life. Mara slid down and sat on the wet ground. "This city feels wrong," she said. "Like it doesn't know you." Luca nodded slowly. "They erased Elio," he said. "In this world, I never became him." Mara looked at him. "But they're still hunting you." "Yes," Luca said quietly. "Because I know something I shouldn't." He looked around. Posters were stuck to the alley walls. Business ads. City rules. News screens. Everywhere one name appeared again and again. Ramos Calder. "He won," Luca whispered. Mara hugged her arms. "So what are you now?" she asked. Luca didn't answer. Because he didn't know. A familiar voice. A soft clap echoed from the alley entrance. Slow. Mocking. "Well done," a voice said. "You survived again." Luca turned. Detective Harlan Crow stepped into the light. But something was different. He wore a clean suit. No badge. No tired eyes. "Crow?" Luca said. Crow smiled. "In this world," he said, "I work for Ramos." Mara gasped. Crow continued, "You broke time, Luca. And when time breaks, things crawl out." Luca clenched his fists. "You knew," he said. "You always knew." Crow nodded. "I've seen this loop before," he said. "Different faces. Same fear." He stepped closer. "And every time, the mirror follows." The twist, the mirror's new game. A screen on Crow's watch lit up. It showed live footage. The room. White walls. A chair. Someone was tied to it. Mara screamed. "It's me," she said. "That's me." Luca's blood ran cold. "But she's right here," he said. Crow smiled slowly. "Not yet," he replied. The screen zoomed in. The girl in the chair lifted her head. She looked exactly like Mara. Same face. Same eyes. Same fear. Luca staggered back. "That's impossible." Crow spoke softly. "The mirror doesn't just change the past," he said. "It copies it." The new rule. Crow leaned closer. "In this world Ramos learned something new," he said. "He doesn't need you alive." Luca's heart pounded. "He just needs versions of you," Crow continued, "until one finally breaks." The screen flickered. The other Mara screamed. The sound echoed in Luca's head. "Choose carefully," Crow said. "Save the wrong one, and you lose both." Crow turned and walked away. The alley lights flickered. The reflection appeared again in a puddle of water. Smiling. Enjoying every second. "Welcome to the next level," it whispered. Luca looked down at his hands. They were shaking. But his eyes were calm. "Not this time," he said. He looked at Mara. "We're not running anymore." Mara swallowed. "Then what are we doing?" Luca lifted his head and stared into the city ruled by Ramos. "We're hunting the mirror," he said. "And somewhere deep in the city, the mirror cracked." Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because the next chapter will reveal how the mirror can be trapped, and why doing so may cost Luca everything. The city never slept. Lights blinked. Cars moved. People lived their normal lives, not knowing a monster was hiding behind reflections. Luca and Mara moved carefully through the streets. They stayed away from glass, away from windows, away from puddles. But the mirror always found a way. No place is safe. They stopped inside an old parking building. It smelled like oil and dust. The lights buzzed softly above them. Mara sat on a concrete block, breathing hard. "It's everywhere," she whispered. "Screens, phones, mirrors, even water." Luca nodded. "The mirror doesn't need magic," he said. "It needs fear." Mara looked at him. "You sound like you've fought it before." Luca didn't answer right away. "I remember things now," he said slowly. "Things Elio buried. Things Luca forgot." He looked at his hands. "The mirror feeds on moments when people are weak," he continued. "When they doubt who they are." Mara frowned. "So how do we stop it?" Luca looked up. "We make it doubt." A dangerous plan. Luca stood and walked to the middle of the parking floor. "If the mirror copies us," he said, "then we let it copy the wrong thing." Mara's eyes widened. "You mean, you?" "Yes," Luca said. "No," Mara said quickly. "That's how it wins." Luca shook his head. "Not this time." He pulled a small device from his pocket. Scratch. A recorder, he said. Ramos used it years ago. To study reactions. To study fear. Mara looked confused. What does that do? Luca met her eyes. It shows the truth, he said. Even when people lie to themselves. The twist, the mirror takes the bait. The lights flickered. The air grew cold. Luca felt it before he saw it. A reflection appeared on the shiny hood of a parked car. The smile. That same cruel smile. You called? The reflection whispered. Luca stepped forward. I did, he said. Mara grabbed his arm. Luca? It's okay, he said softly. The reflection grew clearer. Looked like Luca. But sharper. Colder. You're brave, the mirror said. Or stupid. Luca raised the recorder. You need me, Luca said. Without me you disappear. The reflection laughed. Try me. Luca pressed the button. The moment everything changed. The recorder played sound. Not Luca's voice. Not Elio's. A child crying. A train horn. A scream. The reflection froze. Cracks spread across the surface of the car. The mirror screamed. Stop that. Luca stepped closer. That's your weakness, he said. Not me. The moment you were born. The reflection shook. Its face flickered between many versions. Bosses. Boys. Shadows. Mara watched in horror. It's losing shape, she whispered. But then, the mirror smiled again. Wider than before. You think you're winning? It hissed. But you forgot one thing. The ground shook. Screens turned on all around the city. Phones buzzed. Televisions lit up. Every screen showed Luca's face. And one message appeared everywhere. Wanted, Luca Farron. Dangerous. Do not approach. Mara gasped. You showed yourself, she said. Luca's heart sank. The mirror laughed loudly now. I don't need to hide anymore. Sirens exploded from every direction. Helicopters thundered above. Searchlights flooded the parking building. A voice boomed through a loudspeaker. Luca Farron. Come out with your hands up. Mara looked at Luca terrified. We're trapped. Luca stared at the reflections flashing everywhere. The mirror whispered one last line, calm and confident. Now let's see which version of you the world chooses. Luca slowly raised his hands. But inside his mind, a new idea was forming. A dangerous Subscribe to this channel to support our GR. Luca stepped forward slowly. His hands were still raised. Bright lights from helicopters burned his eyes. Sirens screamed so loud they shook his chest. Police surrounded the parking building from every side. Mara stood behind him, holding his jacket. Don't do this, she whispered. They'll take you. Luca did not turn around. That's the point, he said quietly. Walking into the trap. A loudspeaker boomed again. Luca Farron. Lie flat on the ground. Luca obeyed. Cold concrete pressed against his cheek. His arms were pulled back. Handcuffs clicked shut. Mara cried out. Leave her, Luca said calmly. The officers hesitated. One of them looked confused. She's not on the list, he said. Another officer frowned. Orders say only him. They pushed Luca to his feet. As they walked him out, Luca saw it. In the shiny black door of a police car. The reflection. Smiling. Watching. Enjoying. You're giving me everything, it whispered silently. Luca stared back. No, he whispered. I'm giving you the stage. The high broadcast to the world. Luca was thrown into the back of a van. Metal doors slammed shut. Darkness. The van moved. Mara's face faded from view. Luca closed his eyes and listened. Radios crackled. He's calm, one officer said. Doesn't look dangerous, said another. But orders are orders. Luca smiled faintly. That was when the screens inside the van turned on. Small screens. Old screens. Every one of them showed Luca's face. What? The mirror's voice filled the van. Say hello, it said. The city is watching. Luca looked straight at the camera. Good, he said. The twist, Luca changes the story. The mirror laughed. What will you tell them? Luca leaned closer to the camera. The truth, he said. The mirror froze. Luca spoke slowly, clearly. Simple words. My name is Luca Farron, he said. I was made into a monster. Someone used fear to control this city. Officers shouted. Turn it off. Who authorized this feed? But the screen stayed on. Luca continued. There is something hiding in reflections, he said. It copies people. It lies. It feeds on fear. The mirror screamed inside the van. Stop. But it was too late. People were watching. At home. In cars. On phones. In stores. For the first time. The mirror was being seen. The mirror panics. The van shook. Lights flickered. Glass cracked. Reflections on metal twisted and bent. The mirror's voice changed. It wasn't calm anymore. It was afraid. You don't understand, it shouted. If they believe you, I weaken. Lucas smiled. That's the idea. Suddenly the van stopped hard. Guards shouted. What's happening? The road, it's gone. The doors burst open. White light flooded in. Not police lights. Mirror light. The reflection appeared everywhere at once. Bigger. Angrier. If you expose me, it roared, I will take what you love most. Lucas' smile faded. Mara, he whispered. The mirror leaned close, filling the air. Last warning, Luca, it hissed. Choose silence, or lose her forever. The light swallowed the van. The city screamed. And Luca had only Secco. NDS to decide. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. The white light faded. The screams stopped. Silence fell like a heavy blanket. Luca opened his eyes. He was no longer in the van. He stood in a wide room made of glass. Walls. Floor. Ceiling. All mirrors. Endless mirrors. And in the center, Mara. She stood very still. Mara. Luca ran to her. She did not move. Are you hurt? He asked. She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes were calm. Too calm. Luca, she said softly. You shouldn't have told them. His heart sank. The missing reflection. Luca reached for her hand. That was when he saw it. On the mirror floor beneath them, only one reflection. Mara had none. Luca pulled his hand back. Mara, he whispered. Where is your reflection? She smiled. A sad smile. I never had one, she said. The mirrors around them rippled. The mirror's voice spoke from everywhere at once. You finally noticed. Luca shook his head. No, he said. You said you copied people. You said you hid in reflections. Yes, the mirror replied. But I needed a door. Mara stepped closer. I was born without a reflection, she said quietly. That made me empty. Luca's chest tightened. The truth revealed. The mirrors showed memories. A little girl. Mara. People pointing at her. Why don't you show up? Why are you strange? Lonely rooms. Dark nights. Then one night, a mirror spoke back. I can feel you, it whispered. Mara's voice shook. It promised I would never be alone again, she said. It promised I would be whole. The mirror's voice softened. She is not my puppet, it said. She is my heart. Luca felt sick. You used her, he said. Mara shook her head. No, she said. I invited it. The mirrors flashed. The city appeared in them. Every window. Every phone screen. Every mirror in every home. The mirror was not hiding anymore. It was everywhere. The twist, Luca was chosen long ago. The mirror turned its attention to Luca. And you, it said, were never meant to destroy me. Luca frowned. What do you mean? The mirrors showed a young Luca. A boy. Angry. Afraid. Looking into a cracked mirror after his first crime. The mirror whispered to him back then too. You were my first listener, it said. Luca staggered back. No, he whispered. You made me this way. The mirror laughed softly. I revealed what you already were. Mara stepped between them. There is only one way to end this, she said. Luca looked at her. How? She swallowed. One of us must disappear, she said. No reflection. No host. No voice. Luca's heart pounded. Who? He asked. Mara looked at him. Then at the mirrors. Then back at Luca. The mirrors began to crack. Time felt slow. Mara reached for the glass. If I step inside, she said, the mirror will die with me. Luca grabbed her arm. No. She met his eyes. You taught me how to be brave, she said. Now let me finish it. The mirror screamed. If she goes in, you come with her. The floor opened like water. Mara leaned forward. Luca pulled harder. The mirrors shattered. And someone else stepped out of the glass. Someone Luca never expected. Alive. Smiling. Holding a gun. Miss me? The stranger said. Luca froze. Because the man standing there was supposed to be dead. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because you will find out why the mirror kept high. I'm alive. Luca's eyes widened. The man holding the gun was tall, strong, cold. And he smiled like he had waited 20 years for this moment. Elio? Luca whispered, shaking his head. No, the man said calmly. Not Elio. Not Luca. Just me. Mara stepped back, her eyes wide. Who are you? She demanded. The man laughed softly, low and deadly. Names don't matter anymore, he said. What matters is the one who survives the mirror. The low, a history revealed. The stranger lowered his gun slowly. Luca stepped forward cautiously. You're alive, he said. I saw you die. The fire. Ramos. The man shook his head. Death is just another reflection, he said. And the mirror, it needed me. Luca felt bile rise in his throat. Mara said you were erased, Luca whispered. You weren't supposed to exist. The man's eyes glinted. Exactly. That's why I came back. I wasn't meant to be here. But the mirror, it can only create chaos when its pieces are incomplete. Luca clenched his fists. So all this, you, the mirror, everything, it's been your plan? The man shrugged. Not my plan. The mirror's. But I am its flaw. The mirror's weakness. Luca's mind raced. Mara looked at him. What is he talking about? She asked. The mirror, Luca said. It copies, it feeds, but it can't create something real. Something alive. The man stepped closer. Exactly, he said. I survived because it tried to copy me and failed. That's why it needs you. And Mara. And all the versions it keeps feeding on. The mirrors around them shimmered, reflecting not just their images but dozens of impossible possibilities. Every version of me, of you, was only a test, the man continued. I am proof the mirror can be beaten. But only one way. Luca's heart pounded. What way? He asked. The man smiled again. The twist, the mirror's true goal. The man turned to the shattered mirrors around them. It doesn't want power, he said. It doesn't want to rule the city. It wants us. Every fear. Every choice. Every version of ourselves that we've hidden. Luca shook his head. No, it just wants to control. The man's smile widened, frighteningly calm. No. Control is a byproduct. It wants to see us destroy ourselves. It wants to trap the human soul inside endless reflections until we are nothing but fear. Mara gasped. So, everything we fought for, everything we've seen, it was to feed the mirror? The man nodded. Yes. And now it has you both where it wants you. The shattered mirrors behind them began to glow. Light flooded the room. The voice of the mirror echoed louder than before. You cannot escape. Everyone who enters returns. Everyone who challenges me dies. Luca turned to Mara. Do you trust him? He asked. Mara swallowed. He's the only chance we have, she said. The man stepped forward, holding his gun loosely now. Listen carefully, he said. To end it, one of us must go inside the mirror. The mirror will take everything, power, fear, memories, but it cannot hold someone who truly exists. Someone alive. Someone willing to vanish. Luca's stomach dropped. You mean, one of us dies? The man shook his head. No, not dies, but disappears. Forever. Into the mirror. To destroy it from the inside. The mirror screamed in anger. No, you cannot. They belong to me. The shards on the wall started spinning violently. The reflection of Mara appeared in every piece of glass, screaming, crying, reaching. Luca looked at her. He looked at the man. He looked at the mirror. And he realized there was no way to fight it with force. Only sacrifice. And the decision had to be made now. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because you will find out who will enter the mirror and what happens to the city. So shocking. The shattered mirrors swirled around them like a hurricane of light and glass. Every reflection screamed, every fragment showing distorted versions of Luca, Mara, and the stranger. The mirror's voice thundered through the room. Choose. Choose now. Or you all belong to me. Luca's chest burned. His hand shook. Mara's hand tightened around his arm, and even the stranger, this impossible man who had survived the mirror before, looked tense. Time seemed to stretch. The shards of the mirror glowed brighter, pulsing like a heartbeat. It was as if the mirror itself were alive, hungry, demanding the final move. Below, Luca's inner battle. Luca's mind raced. If I go, I vanish. Never see Mara again. Never see the world again. His eyes darted to Mara. Her face was pale but determined. Her blue eyes shone even in the chaotic light. She didn't flinch. She didn't look afraid. She was ready. Could I let her do it? He thought about every memory, The train, the alleys, the sirens, the van, the first time the mirror had taken Mara. The fear in her eyes had burned into his soul. Every time he'd survived, she had suffered. It's always been my fault, he realized. I've been running while she paid the price. Luca's knees buckled slightly, and the shards on the floor rippled. The mirror sensed hesitation. Choose. Or your fear will feed me forever. Mara stepped forward. Her voice was calm, surprisingly calm. I'll go, she said. Luca froze. No. Mara, I can't let you. It's my turn, she said firmly. You've been fighting this alone for years. It's my choice now. I won't let it win. Luca's chest ached. The air seemed heavier. Each shard of the mirror vibrated like a bell, humming louder, echoing her words. The stranger placed a hand on Luca's shoulder. Listen to her, he said quietly. She's right. This is the only way. If you both fight, one of you has to sacrifice. And she is the only one it can't copy. That's why it's her. Luca's throat tightened. His voice caught. Mara, I can't. She shook her head. You can. You've already proven you're stronger. I've been afraid for too long. Let me end it. Luca swallowed hard. His mind screamed, but deep down he knew she was right. The shards of the mirror began to quake violently. No. You cannot. She is mine. Every fragment shimmered, showing not just Mara but versions of Luca screaming, crying, running, failing. The mirror was panicking. Its voice fractured, breaking like glass. The stranger stepped forward. It's losing control. It can't take her if she willingly steps inside. That's why it screams. That's why it's trying to tempt you. Luca clenched his fists. Tempt me? Yes, the stranger said. It's showing you everything you could have, everything you'd lose, to stop you from letting her go. The shards displayed images. Mara crying in a world without him, the city collapsing, Ramos rising again, the boy version of Luca trapped forever. The mirror wanted him to hesitate. Luca gritted his teeth. No. Not this time. Mara took a deep breath. The air around her shimmered. The shards bent toward her like water. Goodbye, she whispered. Luca grabbed her hands. No. I can do this. I'll go. She shook her head. You can't. Not yet. You're the only one strong enough to finish what I start. You have to live. You have to survive. That's your fight. The shards wrapped around her like a cocoon of glowing glass. I love you, Luca said, tears falling. I know, she said. Now live. And finish this. She smiled and the shards pulled her in completely. For a moment, her image flickered in the air, smiling at Luca. And then she was gone. The mirror screamed. A sound like 1,000 voices crying at once. No. Impossible. This cannot be. The shards exploded outward, scattering into glittering fragments that shot across the room like shooting stars. Each fragment fell to the ground and shattered. The air smelled like ozone. The mirror's voice faded, replaced by silence. The stranger stepped forward. It's done, he said quietly. Luca sank to his knees. He was shaking. He couldn't speak. His chest heaved. Is she, he whispered. She's gone into the mirror, the stranger said softly. But she destroyed it from inside. She saved the world. You now have the chance to live, truly. Luca looked at the empty space where the mirror had been. No reflections. No voices. No threat. For the first time in years, silence. Luca breathed in the quiet. Relief flooded him. But then he heard a whisper. Soft. Familiar. You forgot one thing. He spun around. The stranger was gone. The glass shards shimmered. And in one broken shard at the corner of the room, Mara's reflection blinked. I'm not really gone, and neither is the mirror. Luca staggered back. His heart pounded. The voice of the mirror, now fractured and weak, hissed. You won this battle, but not the war. I am everywhere. I am nothing, and I am coming back. Luca clenched his fists. Rage, fear, and determination all surged through him. He looked at the shard where Mara's reflection lingered. I'll find you, he whispered. No matter what it takes. And this time, I'll finish it for good. The shattered room glowed faintly as rain poured outside. The city seemed calm now, but Luca knew better. The mirror's echo lingered, like a shadow in the corners of the world. The stranger appeared one last time, nodding. You're ready now. This isn't over, but you have the advantage. Luca's gaze hardened. I'll make sure it dies before it ever rises again. And somewhere, in a dark reflection of a building across the city, the shards of the mirror trembled. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth. Luca stepped out into the rain-soaked streets. The city seemed quiet now, almost peaceful, but he knew better. Shadows lingered everywhere. Every puddle, every glass window, every reflective surface could be a doorway for the mirror to return. His fists were clenched, his mind racing. Mara was inside the mirror somewhere, alive but trapped. And the mirror itself wasn't gone, only fractured. It was weak but cunning. He had no plan. No allies. Only the stranger's warning and a burning determination to save Mara and finally end the mirror. The streets were empty, except for flickering neon signs and distant sirens. Luca's mind replayed everything that had happened. The train, the van, the mirror's endless loops, Mara's sacrifice. He remembered the first time he had looked into the cracked mirror as a boy, the fear and curiosity that had birthed the monster. It's all my fault, he thought. If I hadn't been greedy, if I hadn't let the fear control me, none of this would exist. A sudden splash in a puddle made him flinch. He spun around, fists ready. Nothing. Only reflections. But even the reflections seemed off, twisted, waiting. He swallowed hard. He had to keep moving. He couldn't stop. Not now. From the shadows, the stranger appeared again. Come. Silent. Deadly. You're going the right way, he said. The mirror's pieces are scattered, but it always leaves a trail. Where is she? Luca demanded. Inside, the stranger said. She's still alive, but the mirror will try to tempt her. It will show her fear, her memories, even your death. She's strong, but alone she can't finish it. Luca clenched his fists. Then I'll go in with her. The stranger shook his head. No. One person at a time. That's the rule. The mirror, it hates rules but it obeys its own. Luca's chest burned. Then how do I get her back? You find the shards, the stranger said, pointing to a tall building in the distance. Every shard leads to a fragment of the mirror's heart. Collect enough and you can enter safely. Anything less, and you'll become trapped inside just like Mara. Luca nodded, his jaw tight. Then let's go. The building was abandoned, a skeletal tower of glass and steel. The windows reflected the stormy sky, each pane trembling as though alive. Inside, Luca moved cautiously. Every step echoed. Every reflection in the broken glass seemed to shift and twist, showing versions of himself he barely recognized. Terrified, weak, screaming, hiding. Then he saw it, the first shard. It floated in the center of the room, glowing faintly. A fragment of mirror, pulsating like a heartbeat. As Luca reached for it, the shard rippled. He saw Mara inside it, screaming silently, her hands pressing against the glass from within. A whisper filled the room. Do not take me, or he dies. Luca froze. His heart skipped. The mirror is trying to trick me? But how? Before he could pull back, the shard's surface shattered, and a reflection of himself stepped out. Hello, Luca, it said, grinning. Miss me? It was him. And it wasn't him. Stronger. Colder. Filled with every fear and regret he had ever had. The high, fighting himself. The reflection lunged. Luca stumbled back. You can't save her, the reflection hissed. You'll never be enough. The mirror is stronger than you. Luca's hand shook. I have to try. The reflection laughed, and the glass shards around them began spinning violently, creating a vortex of fragments. Luca ducked just in time as a shard shot past, cutting the air with a metallic scream. I'm stronger than fear, Luca thought. I'm not going to let it win. He grabbed a shard from the floor and held it in front of him like a shield. The reflection smirked. You think you can fight yourself and the mirror at the same time? Luca didn't answer. He lunged forward. Every punch, every block, every dodge was mirrored by his double. For every strike he landed, the reflection responded. It was exhausting. He could feel his own fear crawling up his spine, whispering that he would fail, that Mara would be lost forever. Then he remembered her voice. I'm brave. Now let me finish it. As he focused on Mara, something changed. The shard he held began to glow brighter. Its light filled his hand, spreading through his arms, his chest, even his legs. The reflection staggered. Luca didn't know it, but the shard was Mara's essence, her strength, trapped but alive. She had infused part of herself into the shards before disappearing completely. Luca felt power surge through him. He wasn't just fighting his fear. He was fighting with her. He struck the reflection. This time it staggered back, wounded, screaming. The shards in the room aligned themselves like a path, glowing brighter with every step Luca took. The mirror had a weakness all along. It had relied too much on fear, and not enough on the ones it trapped. Luca stood in front of a giant shard, larger than any he had seen before. The edges glowed faintly, pulsing like a heart. Inside he could see Mara. She was reaching for him, but the space inside was twisted, dark, full of impossible reflections of their past fears. He took a deep breath, feeling the storm of fear, hope, and love inside him. I go in now, he thought. And I end this. One way or another. He stepped forward. The shard rippled like water. The air hummed. Time seemed to stretch. The last thing he heard before entering. Welcome back, Luca. The mirror is hungry but it's afraid now. And then he fell inside. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because you will discover what took Luca inside the mirror itself, where reality bends, fears become alive, and the final showdown with the mirror awaits. Luca fell through the shard like it was water. The world around him twisted, stretched, and fractured. Nothing looked familiar. The sky above was a storm of broken glass, reflecting millions of impossible realities at once. Streets bent in ways that shouldn't exist, buildings floated in midair, and the air was thick with whispers. His voice, Mara's voice, dozens of versions of themselves screaming and laughing. He landed hard on the ground, a solid mirror floor that rippled under his weight. The shards he carried glowed faintly, pulsing with Mara's energy. I'm inside, he thought. This is it. The mirror's heart. The low, facing fears. Every step he took made the reflections move. A street appeared. His childhood street. A fire erupted in one corner, his first memory of fear. A train roared past, the one from the very first loop. Mara's voice echoed, faint and distant. Then the reflections began to attack. Versions of himself appeared, terrified, broken, screaming. One struck him, another tried to pull him into a mirror that led nowhere. Every strike he blocked, another appeared. He realized the mirror wasn't just physical. It was mental, feeding on his fear, his guilt, his memories. I can't let it control me anymore, Luca thought. He clenched the shards. Their light flared, pushing the reflections back. His fear twisted into determination. Every memory of Mara, every promise he'd made, fueled him. Finally, in the distance he saw her. Mara floated inside a massive shard at the center of the fractured world. She was trapped in a cage of light and reflections, screaming silently. Her eyes met his. Luca, she mouthed. He ran toward her, dodging impossible attacks. Versions of himself, shadows of the mirror, reflections of fear turned physical. It doesn't want me to reach her, he realized. It wants her alone. It feeds on isolation. He jumped onto a shard and ran across it. The mirror screamed. Cracks formed in the world around him. Not today. Luca shouted. The shards pulsed with Mara's energy, guiding him. He reached her shard and touched it. A pulse of light shot out, pushing back the mirror's twisted reflections. Suddenly Mara's image flickered. Luca, she shouted. But her voice changed. It became the mirror itself. You can't save her, it hissed. She belongs to me now. Luca froze. The reflection of Mara turned into a dark, twisted figure. Its smile was cruel, inhuman. You won't break me. Luca shouted, gripping the shards. He realized the mirror was testing him. It could copy her, manipulate her, make him doubt what was real. I have to trust her, he thought. She's stronger than the mirror thinks. He took a deep breath and reached into the light. The real Mara grabbed his hand. Their fingers intertwined and a shockwave of energy pulsed outward. The mirror shrieked, splitting into fragments. No. You are not supposed to do this. I am eternal. The world twisted violently. Reflections of the city exploded into shards, raining down around Luca and Mara. The shards in Luca's hands flared brightly. Mara's voice rang inside them, clear and strong. I'm here. Don't let it take me. They held hands and focused. The mirror's power could not copy their bond. Its hunger, its deceit, all failed. The largest shard, the one holding Mara, began to crack. Now, Luca. Mara shouted. Finish it. Luca struck the shard with all his strength, shattering it. A massive shockwave exploded, light flooding every reflection, dissolving the twisted copies of himself and Mara. The mirror's voice, weak but still terrifying, echoed. You can destroy me, but not everything, not what I've left behind. The shards swirled in the air. Pieces of the city appeared inside them, fragments of fear and memory. Luca looked at Mara. Are you okay? She nodded, but her eyes were wary. We're not done yet, she said softly. Luca understood. There was still one final trick, one last reflection that hadn't been revealed. And in the distance he saw it, the mirror forming a humanoid figure taller than both of them, glowing faintly with shards of light. It was the mirror itself, alive. The humanoid figure took shape. Its face was a shifting nightmare, half Mara, half Luca, half everything the mirror had ever copied. "You cannot end me," it boomed. "I am fear. I am memory. I am what you will never be." Luca tightened his grip on Mara's hand. "We're stronger," he said. "Together. That's something you'll never understand." The figure laughed. Its voice echoed through the fractured city inside the mirror. "You think your bond can destroy me? I am infinite." The mirror lunged. Every reflection attacked at once. Versions of Luca, versions of Mara, distorted cityscapes, twisted memories. Luca and Mara dodged, jumped, and fought their way through impossible attacks. Shards flew around them, some burning, some freezing. Time itself seemed to stretch and warp. At one point, Luca was separated from Mara. A reflection of her screamed at him, pleading, mocking him. He thought he had lost her. But he remembered her voice. "Trust us, Luca. I'm here. I'm alive." He focused on that thought, and suddenly, a shard of light connected them, forming a bridge between their souls. Together, Luca and Mara charged at the humanoid mirror figure. Shards in Luca's hands glowed brighter. Mara's energy flared. Their bond was a weapon the mirror could not comprehend. They struck the mirror simultaneously. The humanoid screamed. Its face twisted violently. Every fragment of fear, every copy, every shadow it had created began to dissolve. "No. This is impossible." Luca and Mara held on, their energy merging. Light exploded outward, shattering the humanoid figure completely. As the humanoid shattered, the mirror's final whisper echoed. "I am gone, but not all reflections are lost. You will always see me." Shards of broken glass fell around them, harmless now. The mirror's voice was gone. The storm of fear lifted. Luca and Mara embraced, exhausted, battered, but alive. But the city around them was slightly altered. Subtle differences. Small fragments of the mirror remained hidden, waiting. They had won, but the mirror had left a piece behind. Mara smiled faintly. "We did it, but I feel it. There's still something watching." Luca nodded. "Then we stay together. And next time, we finish it completely." The rain poured gently. The shattered city reflected the sunrise. The mirror's reign was over, for now. The final moment. They walked out of the shattered mirror world together. Luca held Mara's hand. The stranger appeared one last time. "Your world is safe. For now," he said. "But remember, fear never truly disappears. It just waits for a chance to return." Luca looked at Mara. "Then we'll be ready," he said. Mara smiled, leaning on him. The camera pans out. Broken mirrors scattered across the city. Sunlight glinting off the shards. A faint, almost invisible reflection of the mirror appears in one puddle. The screen fades to black. Subscribe to this channel to support our growth, because while the mirror may have fallen, the story of courage, fear, and survival continues.